20 years of loyalty. Then my daughter asked, "Dad, why are you still with Mom?" I discovered my wife spending thousands on clothes I never saw, sleeping with my employee, laughing that I was too soft to leave. She was wrong. When she woke up alone in that empty house, I was already gone, with everything. My name is Stephen Blake. I'm 42 years old, and I've been married to Melissa for 20 years. We met in college when I was studying hospitality management, and she was in business school. She was beautiful, confident, full of ambition. She talked about the life she wanted. Nice house, nice cars, everything comfortable. I fell hard for her and promised I'd make it happen. And I did. I worked my way up from assistant manager at a small hotel to regional manager, overseeing 5 properties in 3 states. The money was good. We bought a house in a great neighborhood, drove nice cars, took vacations. We have 2 daughters, Madison, who's 21 and finishing college, and Abigail, who's 16 and still in high school. From the outside, everything looked perfect. I'd come home after long days, and Melissa would be there, dinner ready, everything in order. She seemed happy. I was happy, or at least I thought I was. But then things started changing. Small things at first. Melissa began dressing up more, even for simple errands. She wore makeup to the grocery store, expensive perfume just to go out with friends. I didn't think much of it. After 20 years and 2 kids, I figured she just wanted to feel good about herself. Then came the phone. She was always on it, texting, scrolling, smiling at the screen. When I'd ask who she was talking to, she'd say her girlfriends. I believed her because why wouldn't I? The late nights started next. Girls' nights out became weekly, sometimes twice a week. She'd come home after midnight smelling like wine and perfume. I never questioned it. I was too tired from work, too trusting. The truth came from my youngest daughter. One evening, Abigail and I were in the kitchen. She was doing homework, and I was checking work emails. Melissa was out again. Abigail put down her pencil and looked at me. "Dad," she said quietly, "why are you still with Mom?" My stomach dropped. I set my phone down. "What do you mean?" She looked away, uncomfortable. "I've heard things. Mom's been seeing someone. Ryan Mitchell. From your work." The room went silent. Ryan Mitchell was a manager at one of my hotels. Worse, he was the nephew of the owner of the entire hotel chain. My boss's nephew. I sat there, staring at my daughter, feeling everything I thought I knew crumble around me. That night, I waited. I sat at the kitchen table long after Abigail went to bed, nursing a glass of whiskey I didn't really want. The clock ticked past 10, then 11. Melissa had said she'd be home by 9. Classic. When the garage door finally opened around midnight, I didn't move. I just sat there, hands folded on the table, watching the doorway. Melissa walked in, tossing her purse on the counter. She was dressed up, tight black dress, heels, makeup still perfect. Way too much effort for a girl's night. She jumped slightly when she saw me. "Oh, you're still up. We need to talk," I said calmly. Melissa sighed, kicking off her heels. "Stephen, it's late. Can this wait until tomorrow?" "No. Sit down." Something in my voice must have registered because she paused, then slowly pulled out a chair across from me. She crossed her arms, looking annoyed rather than concerned. "Are you cheating on me?" I asked directly. Her eyes widened for a split second. Then she laughed. Actually laughed. "What? Stephen, where is this coming from? Answer the question. Are you sleeping with Ryan Mitchell?" The smile vanished. She stared at me for a long moment, and I watched her calculate her options. Finally, she exhaled and leaned back in her chair. "Yes," she said simply, like she was admitting to buying the wrong brand of coffee. I felt my jaw tighten. "How long? Does it really matter?" Melissa asked, examining her nails. "How long?" She shrugged. "A year, maybe more. I don't know exactly. A year, maybe more. I've been working myself to death, providing everything she wanted, while she was screwing around with a guy from my own company." I gripped the edge of the table to keep my hand steady. "Why?" I asked, my voice low. Melissa looked at me like I was a child who didn't understand basic math. "Stephen, you're never here. You're always working, always traveling between properties. I have needs. Emotional needs. You weren't meeting them." "Emotional needs," I repeated slowly. "So you decided to have an affair with my employee." "Don't be so dramatic," she said, waving her hand dismissively. "Honestly, a lot of married women do this. It's just how things work these days. You handle the bills and the house, and I get what I need elsewhere. It doesn't have to be a big deal. I stared at her, genuinely shocked. There was no guilt in her eyes, no remorse. She actually believed what she was saying. She thought this was normal, acceptable even. The girls, I said. Did you ever think about them? About what this would do to them? Melissa rolled her eyes. The girls are fine, Stephen. They love us both. This doesn't change anything for them. Abigail told me. I said quietly. She knew before I did. That made her pause, but only for a moment. Then she recovered, shaking her head. Kids hear things. They misunderstand. We can explain it to her. I stood up slowly, my chair scraping against the floor. Melissa looked up at me, waiting for the yelling, the anger, the explosion she probably expected. But I didn't give her that satisfaction. All right then, I said calmly. She blinked, confused. All right then what? I didn't answer. I just walked past her, heading toward the stairs. Behind me, I heard her call out, asking what I meant, but I kept walking. She had no idea what was coming. I didn't sleep that night, while Melissa snored peacefully beside me, completely unbothered by our conversation. I lay there staring at the ceiling. Her words kept replaying in my mind. I have emotional needs. It's just how things work these days. She actually believed she'd done nothing wrong. That sleeping with Ryan was somehow justified because I worked too much. Like my 20 years of loyalty, of providing everything she wanted, meant nothing. But I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction of seeing me break. I wasn't going to yell or beg or ask her to choose. Instead, I was going to do something she'd never expect. I was going to disappear. The next morning, I got up at my usual time, made coffee, got dressed, kissed Melissa on the cheek like I always did. She barely stirred, just mumbled something and rolled over. I stood there for a moment, looking at her, and felt absolutely nothing. At the office, I acted completely normal. Checked on properties, handled guest complaints, reviewed occupancy reports. When I passed Ryan in the hallway, I even nodded at him. The smug look on his face told me he had no idea I knew. Good. That's exactly how I wanted it. During lunch, I locked my office door and made 3 calls. First, my bank. I had a personal account Melissa didn't know about, money from bonuses and side consulting work I'd done over the years. Nothing illegal, just smart planning. I transferred every dollar from our joint accounts that was mine by right, leaving only what she contributed. It wasn't much. Melissa hadn't worked in 15 years. Second, a real estate agent named Patricia. She was the best in the area, known for moving properties fast. I need to sell my house, I told her, quickly and quietly. Patricia didn't ask questions. I can have it listed by tomorrow. Given the market and your neighborhood, I'd say 2 weeks, maybe less. Do it, I said. Third, a lawyer. Frank Henderson specialized in divorces, particularly messy ones. His office was an hour away in the next city, far enough that no one I knew would see me there. I want a divorce, I told Frank when I met him that afternoon. My wife's been cheating with my employee. I have a witness, my daughter. I need to make sure this is clean, and she gets as little as possible. Frank leaned back in his chair, studying me. Do you have proof beyond your daughter's statement? Not yet, I admitted. But I can get it. Frank nodded. Give me proof. Photos, messages, anything concrete. Once you have that, we file. But here's the important part. You can't tip her off. The moment she knows you're planning this, she'll start moving money, claiming abuse, whatever she can think of. You need to stay quiet until everything's in place. I can do that, I said. Good. Get me that evidence, and I'll make sure she walks away with nothing more than the law requires. I left Frank's office feeling something I hadn't felt in days. Control. Melissa thought I was predictable, thought I'd never leave. She was about to learn how wrong she was. The next day, I hired a private investigator. His name was Tom Grady, came highly recommended, and didn't waste time with unnecessary questions. I met him at a diner 30 miles outside town. I need surveillance on my wife and a man named Ryan Mitchell, I told him, sliding a folder across the table with their photos and information. I need proof of their affair. Photos, videos, anything that'll hold up in court. Tom flipped through the folder, his expression neutral. How long do you think this has been going on? At least a year, I said. Maybe longer. Tom nodded. If they've been at it that long, they're comfortable. That makes my job easier. Give me a week. How much? I asked. He quoted me a price. It wasn't cheap, but it was worth every penny. I paid him half up front in cash. That week was the hardest of my life. I went to work every day, smiled at Ryan when I saw him, came home to Melissa like nothing was wrong. She kept going out, kept coming home late, kept texting on her phone with that little smile on her face. One night, Madison came home from college for the weekend. She could tell something was off. We were sitting in the living room, and she kept glancing at me. "Dad, are you okay?" Madison asked quietly. I looked at my oldest daughter. She deserved to know the truth. "Your mother's been having an affair." Madison's face went pale. "What? With who?" "Ryan Mitchell. For my work." She sat back, processing this. "Does Mom know you know?" "She knows. She doesn't care. She thinks it's normal, that she's entitled to it because I work too much." Madison's expression hardened. "That's insane. Dad, what are you going to do?" "I'm leaving," I said simply. "I'm selling the house, filing for divorce, and starting over. But I need you and Abigail to be ready. Things are going to get ugly." Madison reached over and squeezed my hand. "We're with you, Dad. Whatever you need." Having my daughter's support meant everything. 6 days later, Tom called. "I've got what you need. Meet me at the usual spot." I drove to the diner, my heart pounding. Tom was already in a booth, a manila envelope in front of him. He slid it across the table without a word. I opened it. Photos. Clear, damning photos of Melissa and Ryan at a hotel. Holding hands. Kissing. Entering a room together. There were timestamps, locations, everything Frank would need. "There's more," Tom said, handing me a USB drive. "Audio recordings. Your wife and Ryan talking. You'll want to listen to these alone." I paid Tom the rest of his fee and left. That night, after Melissa went to bed, I sat in my office and plugged in the USB drive. Melissa's voice came through the speakers, laughing with Ryan at what sounded like a bar. "Stephen really has no idea?" Ryan asked. "None," Melissa replied. "He's too busy managing hotels to notice what's happening in his own house. Honestly, even if he found out, he wouldn't do anything. He's too weak to leave me." Ryan chuckled. "So what's the plan? Just keep this going indefinitely." "Why not?" Melissa said. "He pays for everything. I get the life I want and the excitement I need. It's perfect." I stopped the recording. My hands weren't shaking anymore. I was past anger. I was cold, focused, and ready. I had everything I needed. Now it was time to execute the plan. With all my evidence gathered and plans in motion, I started noticing things I'd been too blind to see before. One afternoon, while Melissa was out at another lunch with friends, I decided to look around our bedroom more carefully. In the back of her closet, behind the everyday clothes, I found shopping bags. Expensive ones. Nordstrom, Saks, Neiman. I pulled them out one by one, and my blood started to boil. Designer dresses with tags still attached. A Gucci handbag worth at least $3,000. Louboutin heels. A Cartier bracelet in a velvet box. Silk scarves, expensive perfumes, jewelry I'd never seen her wear. Thousands of dollars worth of luxury items I'd never known existed. I checked her credit card statements on my phone. There they were. Charges I'd overlooked because I trusted her to handle her own spending. But these weren't normal purchases. She'd been buying this stuff for months, hiding it away like some secret treasure. Then it hit me. These weren't for her to wear around me. These were her date night clothes. The outfits she wore when she went to see Ryan. She'd been using my money to dress up for another man. I took photos of everything, added them to my evidence folder, then carefully put it all back. Let her think her secrets were still safe. That evening, Melissa came home in a great mood. She kissed my cheek and started making dinner, humming to herself. I watched her from the doorway of the kitchen. "Have a good day?" I asked casually. "Oh yes. Lunch was lovely," Melissa said, stirring something on the stove. "Sarah and I tried that new Italian place downtown." Sarah, her favorite alibi. I wondered if Sarah even knew she was being used as cover. "That's nice," I said. "You look happy." She smiled at me, completely oblivious. "I'm happy, Stephen. Life is good. Life is good. For her, maybe. She had everything. A devoted husband paying the bills, a fancy house, a lover on the side, and unlimited money to buy whatever she wanted. Why wouldn't she be happy? By the way," Melissa continued, "I'm going out Friday night. Girls' night. We might go dancing, so I'll probably be late." "Sure," I said. "Have fun." She had no idea that by Friday, the house would be officially listed for sale. She had no idea that my lawyer had already drafted divorce papers. She had no idea that every dollar in our joint accounts that was legally mine had already been moved. Friday couldn't come fast enough. Later that week, I met with Frank again. I showed him the photos of Melissa's hidden luxury purchases. Frank whistled low. This is perfect. Shows she was spending marital funds on an affair. Judge won't like that at all. There's more, I said. I went through her credit card statements going back 2 years. She spent over $40,000 on clothes, jewelry, hotels, and dinners. All of it related to her affair. Frank leaned back, smiling. Stephen, by the time I'm done, she'll be lucky to get anything beyond what the law absolutely requires. You've built one hell of a case. I left his office feeling vindicated. Melissa thought she'd been so clever, keeping her designer clothes hidden, maintaining her perfect wife act at home. But she'd left a trail of evidence that would bury her in court. The trap was set. Now I just had to wait for the right moment to spring it. Friday morning arrived. The house was officially listed, though Melissa didn't know it yet. Patricia had worked fast, getting professional photos taken while Melissa was out. The listing would go live at noon. I went to work as usual. Checked emails, reviewed reports, had a meeting with department heads. Ryan was there, sitting across the conference table, completely clueless. I wondered how he'd react when everything came crashing down. At lunch, I went to the bank and closed out the last of our joint accounts, transferring my share to my private account. I also rented a storage unit and arranged for movers to come Monday morning to take my belongings, just my clothes, personal items, and important documents. Nothing sentimental. I was cutting ties completely. That evening, Melissa got dressed for her girls' night. She came downstairs in one of those designer dresses I'd found in her closet, the red one that probably cost $2,000. She'd done her hair, put on makeup, even wore the Cartier bracelet. How do I look? Melissa asked, doing a little spin. Beautiful, I said, and I meant it. She was beautiful. That's what made this whole thing so much worse. Don't wait up, she said, kissing my cheek. I'll probably be late. I won't, I replied. She grabbed her purse and left. I watched through the window as she drove away, probably heading straight to Ryan. This was the last time I'd watch her leave. The last time I'd smell her perfume in her house. The last time I'd pretend everything was fine. I waited 30 minutes to make sure she wasn't coming back for something she forgot. Then I got to work. I'd already packed my essential bags earlier in the week. Clothes, laptop, important documents, photos of my daughters. Everything else could stay. I didn't want furniture or dishes or anything that would remind me of this life. I loaded my truck with my bags, then did one final walk through the house. 20 years of marriage, of memories, of believing in something that turned out to be a lie. I stood in the bedroom doorway, looking at the bed we'd shared for 2 decades, and felt absolutely nothing. No sadness, no regret, just relief that it was almost over. I left my wedding ring on the kitchen counter. No note, no explanation, nothing. Melissa would come home to an empty house and figure out on her own. Before I left, I sent 2 text messages. One to Madison. It's done. I'm gone. I love you. The other to Abigail. I'm leaving tonight. You and your sister will always be my priority. Love, Dad. Both replied immediately with heart emojis and messages of support. Then I blocked Melissa's number, blocked her email, blocked her on every social media platform we shared. I deleted every way she had to contact me directly. If she wanted to reach me, she'd have to go through my lawyer. I got in my truck, started the engine, and drove away from the house without looking back. I had a hotel room booked 3 hours away under a friend's name. By Monday, I'd be starting my new job managing a boutique hotel in Colorado, a position I'd quietly accepted 2 weeks ago. Melissa would wake up tomorrow in an empty house, alone, with no way to reach me. She'd check the bank accounts and find them drained. She'd see the for sale sign go up in the yard, and she'd realize that the predictable, weak husband she thought she knew had completely vanished. I drove through the night, windows down, music playing, feeling freer than I had in years. Madison told me what happened Saturday morning. Melissa came home around 3 in the morning after her night with Ryan. She stumbled into bed without noticing I wasn't there. When she woke around 10, she reached for me. Empty space. She figured I'd gone to work early and went downstairs for coffee. That's when things started feeling wrong. My work bag wasn't by the door. My keys were missing. She called out my name. Silence. She checked the garage. My truck was gone. She tried calling me. Blocked. Her texts wouldn't deliver. Every contact method was blocked. Panic set in. She ran upstairs and saw my closet half empty. My clothes, shoes, everything gone. She checked my office. Completely cleared out. Melissa grabbed her laptop and logged into our bank accounts. Madison said her face went white. Every dollar I contributed was gone. Only her small personal account remained. She called Ryan immediately. Stephen left me. He took everything. I need your help. Long pause. Melissa, I think we need to stop this. If your husband found out and left, that's too messy. I can't get involved in a divorce situation. My uncle owns the company. But what about us? Come on, that was just fun. You were married. It wasn't serious. He hung up. Melissa tried calling Madison, demanding answers. My daughter met her at a coffee shop and looked her straight in the eye. Where is your father? Melissa demanded. Even if I knew, I wouldn't tell you. You did this to yourself, Mom. Dad worked his entire life for us while you were sneaking around with Ryan. You made your choice. Abigail gave her the same response. Both daughters had chosen me. By Sunday, a for sale sign appeared in the yard. Melissa ran outside and confronted the real estate agent. But Patricia just said, the property owner has the right to sell. Contact your attorney. Melissa didn't have an attorney. She couldn't afford one. She stood in that empty house, realizing everything had fallen apart overnight. She'd woken up alone in an empty house, and her perfect life was shattered beyond repair. 3 weeks later, I stood on my Boulder apartment balcony, watching the sunrise over the Rockies. The boutique hotel I managed was thriving under my leadership, and the work felt meaningful again. My apartment was simple and clean. No memories, no lies, just fresh mountain air and peace. Madison and Abigail visited that second weekend. We hiked trails, had dinners at local restaurants, and laughed together. It felt incredible to just be their father again. You seem genuinely happy, Dad, Abigail said over breakfast. Like really happy. I am. I didn't realize how much that marriage was suffocating me until I could finally breathe. Back in Florida, Melissa's life had collapsed completely. The house sold in 3 weeks. Patricia was excellent at her job. Melissa tried fighting it, but Frank shut down every argument with ironclad evidence. She got minimal equity after legal fees. At 41, she moved back in with her parents. Her father was furious with her. He'd always respected me. Ryan had completely ghosted her and was already dating someone new. Her friends had distanced themselves, especially those who'd helped cover for her affair. When Frank served the divorce papers, the evidence was devastating. Photos, recordings, and $40,000 in documented affair spending. The judge showed no sympathy. Melissa got minimal alimony for 3 years and a tiny percentage of the house sale. Everything else stayed mine. One evening, an unknown number called. Against my better judgment, I answered. Stephen. Melissa's voice was broken. I'm so sorry. I realized what I did was unforgivable. Okay, I said flatly. That's it. Just okay. What did you expect, Melissa? You chose Ryan over 20 years of marriage. You called me predictable, said I'd never leave. Well, here we are. Please, can't we at least talk? No, we're done. The divorce will be final soon, and then we'll never speak again. Move on, Melissa. I already have. I hung up and blocked the number. Madison called an hour later. Mom said you were cruel. I was honest. Her regrets aren't my problem anymore. I looked at the mountains, completely at peace. Melissa could regret her choices forever, but I had a new life now, and she had no place in it. For months after I left, I flew back to Florida to finalize some business details with my old company. I had to sign off on retirement account transfers and tie up loose ends. I was walking out of a meeting at a strip mall office complex when I heard her voice. Stephen. I turned around. Melissa was hurrying toward me across the parking lot, and I barely recognized her. She'd lost weight, looked tired, her hair pulled back messily. The polished, confident woman I'd married was replaced by someone who looked defeated. What are you doing here? I asked, staying near my truck. I've been hoping to run into you, Melissa said breathlessly. I saw your truck and Please, Stephen, I need to talk to you. There's nothing to talk about. The divorce is almost final. Please, just 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. Her voice broke slightly, and I could see she'd been crying recently. Against my better judgment, I crossed my arms and waited. She took a shaky breath. I've destroyed everything, Melissa began, tears welling up. I had a good husband who loved me, a beautiful home, wonderful daughters. And I threw it all away for someone who didn't even care about me. Ryan won't speak to me now. He acts like I never existed. The girls barely return my calls. I'm 41 years old, living in my childhood bedroom. I'm aware of your situation, I said flatly. I know you must hate me, and you have every right to, she continued, wiping her eyes. But I need you to understand something. I had emotional needs that weren't being met. You were always working, always traveling between properties. I felt invisible in my own marriage. I'm not saying what I did was right, but I was desperate for someone to see me. There was again the same justification. Emotional needs. You keep using that phrase like it's some kind of magic password, I said, my voice turning cold. Like having emotional needs somehow justified everything. Like feeling lonely gave you permission to betray 20 years of marriage, to spend $40,000 of our money on another man, to mock me behind my back. Melissa flinched. I said horrible things. I was living in a fantasy where I could have everything. You were living in a delusion, I interrupted. You thought I was too predictable, too soft, too devoted to ever leave you. You told Ryan I'd never find out, and even if I did, I'd forgive you because that's what men like me do. Remember? She looked down, shame coloring her face. I was wrong about you. About everything. Yes, you were. I checked my watch. Is there a point to this conversation? I just wanted to know. Melissa looked up at me with desperate eyes. Is there any chance? Any possibility that we could try to work things out? Go to counseling. I'll do anything, Stephen. I'll spend the rest of my life making this up to you. I studied her for a long moment. This woman who'd shared 2 decades of my life, who'd given me 2 beautiful daughters, who'd also betrayed me without a second thought. And I felt absolutely nothing except mild irritation that she was wasting my time. You're not worth fighting for anymore, Melissa, I said clearly, watching those 7 words hit her like a physical blow. Her face crumbled completely. She actually staggered back a step, hand over her mouth, tears streaming down her face. She tried to speak, but nothing came out. I got in my truck, started the engine, and drove away. In my rearview mirror, I saw her standing alone in that parking lot, completely broken. I didn't feel guilty. I didn't feel vindicated. I just felt done. That was the last time I ever saw her. It's been 2 years since that parking lot encounter, and I'm sitting on the back deck of my house in Boulder, watching the sunset paint the mountains gold. Not the apartment I rented when I first arrived, but an actual house I purchased 8 months ago. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a yard where I grill steaks on summer evenings, and a view that never gets old. The boutique hotel I started with has flourished under my leadership, and 6 months ago, I was promoted to Director of Operations for the entire Western region. I oversee 8 properties now across 4 states. The work is demanding, but fulfilling in ways my old job never was. I'm building something real, something I can be proud of. Madison got married last spring in a beautiful ceremony at a vineyard outside Denver. I walked her down the aisle, both of us trying not to cry. Melissa wasn't there. Madison made that decision herself, and I supported it completely. She told me later that she wanted her wedding day to be filled with love and honesty, not drama and lies. The reception was perfect. I danced with my daughter, gave a speech that made everyone laugh and cry, and watched her start her new life with a man who truly loves her. Abigail caught the bouquet, and we all joked about her being next. Abigail is in her junior year at University of Colorado, studying business management. She comes over every few weeks for dinner, and we've built a relationship that's deeper and more honest than it ever was before. She told me recently that watching me walk away from Melissa taught her what self-respect looks like, and that she'll never settle for someone who doesn't value her. I've been dating someone for about 7 months now. Her name is Catherine. She's a landscape architect, and we met through mutual friends at a hiking group. She's honest, independent, and has her own life. We're taking things slow, building something based on trust and mutual respect. It feels completely different from my marriage, healthier, more balanced. As for Melissa, I hear occasional updates through acquaintances, though I never ask. She's still living with her parents. She works part-time at a department store, barely making enough to cover basic expenses. Her alimony runs out in 3 months, and I've heard she's panicking about what comes after. Ryan left the hotel industry entirely. Apparently, Once word got around about the affair, his uncle strongly suggested he find a new career path to avoid further embarrassment to the family business. Last I heard, he moved to Texas and works in commercial real estate. The house we shared sold to a young family with 2 kids. They've completely renovated it. New paint, new landscaping, new everything. It's not my house anymore. It's just a building where I used to live a life that wasn't really mine. The divorce was finalized 18 months ago. Melissa fought for more money right up until the end, but Frank's evidence was too strong. The judge wasn't sympathetic to someone who'd spent tens of thousands on an extramarital affair while claiming financial hardship. She got her minimal 3-year alimony and a small percentage of the house sale. I kept everything else. People sometimes ask if I regret how I handled things, if I wish I tried counseling or given her another chance. My answer is always the same. Not for a second. You can't fix someone who doesn't think they're broken. You can't rebuild trust with someone who never valued it. And you can't save a marriage when only one person was actually committed to it. The lesson I've learned is simple. Loyalty isn't about staying no matter what. It's about honoring your commitments to people who honor theirs to you. When someone breaks that bond, you don't owe them anything. Not forgiveness, not sympathy, not another chance. I'm 44 years old. I have a career I love, daughters who respect me, and a life built on honesty. I sleep peacefully at night. I smile when I wake up. I'm genuinely happy in a way I never was during my marriage. Melissa made her choices. She chose excitement over stability, Ryan over me, lies over truth. Now she lives with those consequences every day. I made my choice too. I chose self-respect. I chose to walk away from someone who didn't value what we had. I chose myself, and I've never regretted it once.